Hello, everyone. My name is Andrew. I'm a member of the JSOM's Deans Council, and today I'll be interviewing Professor Widdifield here. So, first off, I want to thank Professor Widdifield for sitting down and taking time out of his very, very busy schedule to talk and share some of his experiences with us. So let's just get right into it. So, Professor Widdifield, tell us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So my background is 27 years in retail, supply chain operations and supply chain management, working just about everywhere in logistics, merchandising, allocation, demand planning, and so forth. I've been doing that for quite a while. I got interested in supply chain through the U.S. military when I got my commission in the Army. Did that back in '92 and really enjoyed it, and haven't changed since then. That's a little bit about my background. I didn't do this on purpose. My original undergraduate degree was business management and human resources management. It had nothing to do with supply chain. Kind of accidentally fell into supply chain like many practitioners do.
You don't always start and end up where you think you do, but yeah. So I know that you're originally from Ohio, so that's a little bit away from Texas. And so what kind of led you to end up in Texas and, Dallas in particular?
Originally, I was from Columbus, Ohio. That's where I was born. Was with Ohio State University for many years, 15 years, as a professor in both undergraduate and graduate programs in supply chain. Program director for the Masters in Business Logistics Engineering program as well. It was a job transfer. I was offered a position with a supply chain company to come down here, work at their corporate headquarters, and basically build their retail services division for them. The company that I was working for stood that up, went through some hard times, and unfortunately, I was one of the people who got let go. Was looking for moving back into academia and had the opportunity to start teaching as an adjunct for UTD, and then a year later received a full-time offer as a clinical associate professor and program director. Here it is a year later and still doing that, and program director for the Masters of Science Supply Chain Management program, and now the assistant dean for all JSOM Masters program. So that's what kind of led me here.
Wow, that is,
and I love it, by the way. I mean, this is great.
Sounds like a roller coaster to get here.
Yeah, it was a little bit, not bad though.
So, what are some of your favorite things about teaching at JSOM and at UTD? I know that you've taught at other places as well, and obviously you've been to many other colleges like Case Western and Franklin. What kind of sets UTD apart from all those other schools? And, what about the students in particular as well?
Yeah, I think, and this is in general, what really drives and motivates me, and I say this in all my classes, and Andrew, being in my class, you've heard me say this a number of times, I really like to be a part of helping the students be successful outside of the university. I like to really see them excel, be prepared to start contributing value in the business environment the moment they walk into the workplace. If there's something that I can share with the students that will avoid the many mistakes I made in my career, I'll feel that I've done my job. And that's really what motivates me the most. I think that as far as what sets UTD apart from the other universities and institutions I've been, really has been more of the engagement from a student perspective. UTD is more of an experiential and more of an interactive student body, both at the undergrad and graduate level. Ohio State University is a very traditional, conservative, if you will, more university. So not that there's not any interaction, but like one of the courses I teach is at the sophomore, junior level, it's a operations management course. Yeah, for the undergrad program. I taught a similar course at Ohio State, and what was interesting about that course is that the engagement from the student standpoint, very limited. I mean, it was a straight lecture hall. I had 250 plus students. My largest class I ever taught there was 700 students. There wasn't a lot of engagement. What I really love about UTD is the size of the classrooms, the ability to engage with students like yourself, and really talk about, the concept or topic that we're looking at. How does that affect us? And how do we see it being applied? We being me and the students, how do we see it being applied in the business setting that we're going to walk into or that we are working in? So I think that's really the biggest thing that sets it apart.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the UTD kids are very, very engaged, and they just want to learn and kind of better themselves for the future.
Mm-hmm. So, I agree, 100%.
So what are some resources you would recommend at JSOM and UTD in general, I guess? Because UTD does offer us so many available resources. Like we have the health clinic, and at JSOM we have all these tutors that are able to help you if
Yeah.
you're struggling in classes. So is there any that you would recommend in particular?
Yeah, a couple of them. One I'm a big fan of our library and library databases. I think that the amount of information that you can get in a remote virtual environment like we're in, I think is just unbelievable. I use it all the time, whether I'm prepping for class or researching papers or just in general. I don't have a subscription to Wall Street Journal, but guess what? I see the article out there, I'll go to the library and go pull it in. But I think that's one of the really good resources to use. I think the other one is, you just mentioned that there's so many resources at JSOM and UTD in general. I think that one of the things that I talk about across all my classes, grad and undergrad, is really start to build up your professional networks. And I think the one way to do that is really get engaged with the student organizations. There are just so many really, really good, strong student organizations across JSOM. And, unfortunately, we're in a virtual environment, but what I've seen is greater activity, greater integration, greater interaction with the student organizations than we've ever seen in the past. It's so easy to get involved, meet people that are industry professionals in your discipline within the organization. So I definitely would do that. And I think that the last thing I would say is, this is kind of a stressful and trying time with COVID. And many times, we can feel a little bit more isolated than normal and maybe not as much as involved or, integrated with the student body or really just with the body of JSOM. So I think really look for, when you're starting to feel that way, look for those groups. I know the Student Life Organization has a number of resources there. Student Accessibility is another group that does that. Even the Dean of Students offices has some really good support groups for that. So I think it's just being aware of those support groups that are out there. And then lastly, just because we can't get together in a physical contact, maintain relationships, maintain those friendships that you meet with your classmates, your peers, and even professors when you can. We can still meet safely. I mean, I still go to the gym 3 and 4 times a week. And, I'm wearing a mask and got gloves on, but yeah, we can still do it. So I think that's the biggest thing. And yeah, I think it's just really try not to stay, I call it cocooned or isolated just because of COVID-19 and what we're going through right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's just so many on-campus clubs. Obviously, you can't meet in person now, but they have a lot of virtual events that you can attend. And I was able to attend one for an accounting organization where I got to talk to professionals who work in the field. And, it's the greater connectivity is something that we didn't have before. I can't just sit down with professional in the field and take 10 minutes out of my day to talk to them like before. But yes, it's so great.
Yeah, I agree.
So my last question to you is, for any of the potential students and kind of people who are on the fence about going to UTD, what recommendations do you have for them?
I think as you look at UTD, take a good assessment of what kind of career path that you want. Think about what excites you, what motivates you. A lot of times, we choose a career path or a job because our friends did it, our family did it. It's just something that sounded good to do at that time. I would really recommend to take a look at, and particularly for undergrads, look to see what really motivates you. What do you find yourself having the most fun with? I mean, the funny thing that I love to see today is, all the growth of esports. And not just esports, but I mean, okay, there's somebody who likes to play games, video games, and they're good at it. Not only do we have teams of, but we have degree programs for esport now. So I think I really look into that. My wife and I are working with our youngest son, who's going to be 18, and we're starting to look at colleges and looking at careers. And one of the things we're doing is trying to really work with him and figure out, what is it you really want to do? What do you like to do? And then set up what your career path is going to go, where you're going to go. A normal grad student comes in, and I'm saying undergrad, but honestly, this happens with grad students as well. But a normal undergrad student comes in, and usually about year 2, sophomore going into junior year, you start figuring out what you really want to do, what discipline you really want to be in. And I think the better you're prepared in knowing what your career track is, what's going to motivate you. Because really, when you get out of the university setting, you're going to be going into a job and working, 9, 10, 11 hours a day, depending on your field. I think, Andrew, you said you're accounting.
Yes.
And, my middle son is an accountant. Right now, I mean, he's working very long hours. He's working, 10, 11-hour days, and he's working weekends. And so pick something that you're passionate about. I think that's the best thing to do. And then realize that even at the entry level, the university and the degree programs are set up for your success. So take advantage of, getting to know the professors, working with the professors, understanding the course content, get involved in those student organizations. So really don't feel that it's something you have to get through or you get overwhelmed because it's so much. Really have fun with it. I think that's the best advice I can give.
Yeah, that's really great. So that about wraps up our interview for today. I want to thank Professor Widdifield once again for sitting down and taking time out of his day to share his experience and knowledge. And till next time, I'll see you guys then.